My boyfriend, 21M, proposed to me and I, 21F, said no. I'm worried he'll want to break up. I'm not the op. Posted 7 years ago by you, in need of advice 1211. Original post. Last Friday night my boyfriend invited me to dinner with a bunch of his family members. We've been together since August 2012. We went to a nice restaurant and everything was going fine and until he started giving a speech on how much he loved me, wanted to spend the rest of his life with me, etc. Before I knew it he was on one knee asking me to marry him. I've told him more than once that I never ever want to get married. I don't want to be someone's wife and I don't want a husband. Anyway, after he proposed I was in shock for a couple seconds. I didn't say anything for a while. And I didn't mean to, but I laughed and straight up said no. I laugh in awkward situations, so I made it even weirder. Soon as I said no his face dropped. He left the restaurant for a few minutes. His mother followed him out, while I sat there awkwardly with his family. Thankfully none of them asked me why I didn't say yes. When he came back inside we finished an extremely awkward dinner. My boyfriend and I lived together, so after we paid we drove back home. Soon as we got home we got into a fight. He yelled at me and said that I embarrassed him in front of his family and called me selfish. I reminded him I said I never want to get married, but he said he thought it'd be different with him. He's at his parents' house and has been since Saturday morning. I've tried calling but he's ignoring me. I spoke to his brother this morning and he said my boyfriend was considering a breakup and that I should get ready to move out. His whole family pretty much hate me now. What can I do to convince him to not break up? We've been so happy for so many years and I don't want to lose him over this. We can be together without being married. TLDR. My boyfriend proposed. I said no. He wants to break up but I still very much love him and want to be together. What should I do? Update. Thank you to everyone for the advice you gave me. I really appreciate it and I'm super thankful. I got a few messages asking for an update, so I thought I'd give one now. Over the weekend I attended a wedding. It was a fun night and I'm really happy for the couple, but the entire time I couldn't imagine myself in that position. Getting married is just something I refuse to do. I decided that I had to end things with my boyfriend. We'll call him Shane. Since I know marriage is something he really wants. It's important to him, so I'm not going to stop him taking that step in life. But it won't be with me. Shane came home this morning. When he came inside he hugged me and kissed me on the cheek. I told him we had to talk and he agreed. Shane went first and said that he knew proposing to me was going to be a big surprise and he didn't know what answer to expect. But he said I should have at least said yes in front of his family so I wouldn't embarrass him. He's still mad I rejected his proposal. Shane said the whole time we spent apart his family said I wasn't good enough for him and that I humiliated him. But he only agreed with the second part. I told him about how we've discussed marriage plenty of times. And my answer has always been the same. Shane said again how he thought I'd change my stance on marriage for him. And then said he'd wait until we're older to get married. I said, no, that's not what I want. I don't want to get married ever. It's not an age thing. It's just not what I want. Why don't you get that? Shane started yelling at me and said my family was right about me. I told him we want two very different things. Marriage is important to him, but it never will be to me. I said I'm more than willing to be his life partner, but not his wife, and that since we want different things we should break up. I want him to get his happy ending. He kept asking why I'm being so stupid and stubborn. That it's just marriage, and I should just get over it. I said I'm an adult and can make own decisions, and marriage is not what I want. Shane stayed in our bedroom for a while and I stayed in the lounge room. I think he was on the phone to someone. I'm assuming his brother. When he came back out he said he'll give me an ultimatum. Either we stay together and get married in at least a few years. He wants to start a family soon, which is a whole other issue for me. Or we just break up. I said we should just break up. That we can both get what we want, since I know Shane will eventually find someone to settle down with. He just said, fine. Whatever, and went back in our bedroom for a few minutes before he left. When he gets back, I'm going to discuss living arrangements. I think it's best if I just leave. TLDR. Boyfriend was still upset I rejected proposal and gave me an ultimatum. Either we get married soon, or we break up. Boyfriend and I broke up. Edit. No, I'm not telling you why I'm against marriage. Please stop asking. Since the post hasn't been updated for 7 years, we can assume that the situation is concluded. So Oops says, we should break up because we want different things. VF goes to their bedroom and comes back with the ultimatum of get married in a few years or break up. And seems annoyed that Oop is still like, yes, we should break up. I know they were both only 21, but the logic does not follow. Oop, you want to get married and I never will. So let's break up now. Boyfriend. No. Counter proposal. We should wait a few more years and then get married. And at that point, if you don't want to get married, then we'll break up. Oop. No. I'll never want to get married. So let's break up now. Boyfriend. Okay, fine. I'll agree now that we're following my ultimatum instead of your ultimatum. Not once did he listen to her. I don't want to get married, marry me. I don't want to get married, marry me in the future. I want to break up. If you don't do what I say, we will break up. So glad Op wasn't pushed into being with this guy. He didn't care about her. 21 is awfully young to get engaged or married. Someone who proposes to his so in front of his family when he knows very well that she doesn't want to get married is awfully immature for 21. Dude knew she didn't want to get married and tried to guilt her into it. Glad she left. If he didn't know what her answer would be, why did he ask her in public? That proposal was all about him. He thought he could shame her into saying yes, because that's what he wants. If she had said yes to save him the embarrassment, backing out later would be a huge mess. If it worked and she married him, then he'd start on the babies. I hope she ran far away from him. He kept asking why I'm being so stupid and stubborn. That it's just marriage, and I should just get over it. Funny how people like this are never interested in following their own advice. If it's just a marriage, then why insist of forcing someone into it who doesn't want to be? But he said I should have at least said yes in front of his family so I wouldn't embarrass him. This part is especially stupid to me. Like, the rest I get. I don't agree with it. He's delusional. But at least I comprehend the thought process behind the delusion. Dude thought that she'd spontaneously change her mind when put on the spot. Stupid, but he's not the first idiot to think this way. But she should have said yes to spare him the embarrassment? Seriously? Play that out, dude. Even if you weren't doing anything wrong, would you really want to spend an evening thinking she said yes? Reveling in that joy, only to have her tell you she didn't mean it later? That would be cruel. And he'd be pissed if she had done that. I guarantee it. This sounds like he's actually pissed about her saying no at all and just wanted to find extra stuff to blame her for. Anyway, any embarrassment he suffered is his own fault for asking a question he knew the answer to in front of family, and expecting her answer to change. The sentence, "It's just marriage," should never be uttered by anybody who is considering marriage. Ever. That right there tells me he's not ready. Source: I am married. What frustrates me about this is that, despite her being very clear throughout the time he's known her, he still demanded she accept his way. and then blamed her for not just going with his demands. Society does this to women too much. Just go along to get along. He wanted her to accept in front of everyone and then, what, decline when they got home? How was he going to explain that to his family? Speaking of his family, they suck too. It's good that she is rid of the lot of them. Oop, we should just break up. XBF, fine. Either we get married, or we're breaking up. Quote, oop. Yes. Seriously. He embarrassed himself. She made him aware of what she wants. It's unfair to try and force her to cave by proposing in public. If it's just marriage, why bother? The boyfriend doesn't sound like a gem in the first place. He'd been told, no marriage, but went and decided, nah. Public proposal despite the above. With the family for added pressure. Gets upset afterwards. And his main concern is embarrassment. Not the fact that they have completely different life goals. Refuses to see he put himself in a position to be embarrassed. It's all her fault. In the middle of a discussion he goes to, my family was right about you. Meaning, when they said she wasn't good enough for him. That was a quick backtrack. Lol, how are they supposed to keep dating after that? Gives an ultimatum after she's already mentioned she thinks they should break up. Lol, how did he think that would go? Way too much pride on this kid. He's a walking red flag. Public marriage proposals are so manipulative. EXBF knows this because he was trying to publicly shame Oop into saying yes. Good riddance. I'm very glad that they broke up. Honestly, it sounds like it should have happened years ago. Especially since they talked about marriage multiple times. I wonder how those conversations went. Him. So what do you think about marriage? I want to get married someday. Her. Never. A few months later. Him. Just circling back to that marriage thing. Her. I'd rather throw myself into the sea. 2 years later. Him. Will you marry me? Her. You shall not pass. This does beg a question. Why didn't she break up with him sooner? Always amazes me how someone can clearly state their intentions and the other person be okay with it. And then they change and expect the other person to. That's not how it works. Yes. Sometimes people grow and change together. That doesn't always happen, and that the risk you take with relationships. Lovely how he proposed in front of his family instead of at least gathering people who meant something to Oop. Not that that would have made trying to pressure her into saying yes any better. Boyfriend. How was I supposed to know you wouldn't say yes when I proposed? Girlfriend. I've told you multiple times I don't want to get married. Boyfriend. But I was trying to manipulate you by asking in front of my family so you would feel pressured to say yes. Setting ultimatums rarely turns out well in a marriage. In the long run, both sides will be better off splitting up. Still going to be painful. Even though the standard wisdom is to not propose if you don't know the answer is going to be yes, I can somewhat understand the idea of wanting it to be a surprise. And proposing when no might be a possibility. If, as you suppose, an unlikely one, when someone has expressed an intention to not get married. Though, why put both of you through that? Especially publicly? Shane either doesn't care at all what Oop wants and is willing to pressure her into marriage. Or he isn't even the sharpest knife in the spoon drawer.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.